Chosen one, sit down. This is not a casual word finding you at a convenient time. I am speaking to you now, right here, in this very breath, and I declare to you with the full authority of heaven, what is about to break open over your life is not small. This is not a minor comfort. This is not a quiet reassurance to ease you through one more difficult night. I am drawing a line in the spirit, a sovereign line, between everything that was and everything that is now beginning. The season you have been living in cannot continue the way it has been. Hear me clearly. The delay, the pressure, the confusion, the tears you shed in private, the warfare that made no sense, the doors that would not open, the prayers that seemed to dissolve into silence before they ever reached the ceiling. None of it was random, and none of it was wasted. You thought you were enduring a long ending. But I say to you now, you were standing inside a divine transition. You thought you were being ignored. But I declare over you, you were being marked. You thought you were buried beneath the weight of waiting. But in the courts of heaven, you were being set apart, sealed, and prepared as a vessel carrying more than an ordinary assignment. You are not just another person trying to make it through life. I am establishing this truth in your spirit right now. You are a chosen vessel. You have been called, separated, and reserved for holy purpose. And that is exactly why the battle around your life has been so fierce. The enemy does not fight this hard against empty people. Hell does not invest this much strategy, this much effort, this much targeted interference against someone with no destiny attached to their obedience. What has come against you came against you because something on your life is costly to darkness, dangerous to the kingdom of the enemy, and impossible to replace. I am not merely about to comfort you, my chosen one. I am about to move you. I am about to interrupt patterns that have persisted far too long. I am about to confront cycles that tried to define you and give them their final answer. I'm about to step into places that looked dead, delayed, and permanently sealed shut. And I declare that my timing, not your pain, will have the final word. The old labels are breaking. The old season is losing its grip. The old language of fear, disqualification, and disappointment has no authority to narrate where you are going. You have cried enough under what was. You have bent low enough under what was. You have questioned enough under what was. And now heaven is releasing something over your life that is both a warning and a promise at the same time. Do not keep thinking like the version of you that only knew survival. Because what is approaching will require agreement, readiness, and a boldness that does not negotiate with doubt. There are moments when I whisper, and then there are moments when I speak with thunder, because the hour is too serious for half attention. The pressure you have felt was not proof of my absence. It was proof that something had to break open. Something had to come alive in you before the next door was permitted to open. This is why ordinary reassurance no longer satisfies you. This is why your spirit has been sensing that something is shifting, even when your circumstances have not yet caught up. I am telling you now, what is coming is bigger than what you asked for when you were only praying from a place of pain. I am not preparing a small patch for your exhausted heart. I am preparing movement. I am preparing separation. I am preparing divine acceleration. I am preparing to distinguish your before from your after in a way that even you will not be able to deny. Declare, I am chosen and I will not miss my hour, if this is bearing witness in your spirit right now. Hear this with absolute clarity, my chosen one. I did not lose sight of you in the wilderness. The God who formed you has watched every silent battle, every exhausted prayer, every night you held yourself together in private while appearing composed in public. Not one tear dissolved into the darkness unnoticed. Not one sigh vanished without being received by me. What felt invisible on earth was fully seen in heaven. The place you called abandonment was often the very place where I kept you closest. You mistook silence for distance. But it was not distance. It was depth. It was the kind of holy concealment where I do my most serious work, away from applause, away from noise, away from the opinions of people who could never comprehend the weight of what I placed on your life. There were days when you watched others advance while you remained in what felt like the same painful chapter. Others celebrated, announced, arrived, built, and smiled in the light while you stood in the shadows wondering whether your name had been overlooked. You did your best to bless them. You tried to keep your heart clean. You smiled when it hurt. You said the right things. But underneath that faithfulness, there was a question you barely dared to speak aloud. Lord, did you pass me by? And I answer that question now with force. No, I did not pass you by. I kept my hand on you when you could not feel it. I preserved you when you believed you were only barely surviving. I hid you because what is marked by me cannot always be exposed too soon. Look at Hagar in the wilderness. She was cast out, emptied, and left in a place that looked like absolute rejection from every human angle. It seemed finished. It seemed harsh. It seemed like the story had narrowed into nothing but despair. But it was there, in that dry and desolate place, that I revealed myself to her. I did not arrive too late. I arrived at the exact moment her strength gave out, and I opened her eyes to what had already been provided nearby. That is the word over your life right now. What you thought was proof that everything was over may become the very place where I reveal what I had already prepared. The wilderness was not sent to erase you. It stripped away false security. It exposed your deepest need. And it positioned you for an encounter you would never have had if life had remained comfortable. That is why this season hurts so deeply. I was not dealing with the surface. I was touching the roots. I was confronting the places where you had tied your identity to outcomes, to people, to timing, and to visible progress. I was teaching you to live under my gaze instead of under human recognition. I was showing you that being hidden is not the same as being discarded. Being delayed is not the same as being denied. Being broken before me is not the same as being abandoned by me. Some of the deepest evidence of my nearness appears precisely when every earthly support is removed, and my voice becomes the only thing holding you together. Heaven measures differently than the world. Heaven watches who keeps praying when nothing changes. Heaven watches who still bows when no reward is visible. Heaven watches who refuses to let bitterness take root when disappointment has every reason to harden the heart. And that has been your hidden offering. You are not doing nothing. You are becoming someone. You are being shaped into a vessel that does not collapse when external comfort disappears. You are learning how to hear me in dry places, trust me in unanswered places, and remain faithful in unseen places. That kind of formation is costly. It does not happen in shallow seasons. It happens in the wilderness. It happens in the tension. It happens where pride dies and true dependence becomes real. So no, heaven has not ignored you. Heaven has been dealing with you too personally, too carefully, too precisely to abandon you now. What you called delay, I called consecration. What you thought was a cruel pause was, in truth, a holy process. I did not leave you standing still because I had nothing to say. I held you in place because I was dealing with things too deep to rush. You were asking for movement, but I was working on weight. You were asking for the door, but I was working on the person who would be able to walk through it without falling apart on the other side. State, I trust, if you believe the wilderness was preparing you for something greater. I need you to understand something about the nature of divine timing that most people miss. The seasons I orchestrate are not arbitrary. They are not random stretches of time that I fill with difficulty while you wait for the real portion to begin. Every season has a curriculum. Every period of hiddenness carries a specific lesson that cannot be learned in the open. The wilderness of Moses was 40 years, not 40 days. And within those 40 years, a man who had once been educated in all the wisdom of Egypt was being educated in something no palace could teach: the knowledge of my voice, the pattern of my provision, the weight of true humility. Those 40 years did not delay Moses' calling. They were his calling's most essential foundation. Without them, the Moses who stood before Pharaoh would have been a different man, one with eloquence but without the depth to carry a nation through a sea. I am speaking this to you because the depth being formed in you right now is the very thing that will distinguish your future from your past. Many people receive breakthrough and then lose it because the inner life was not sufficient to sustain what was released. I am not allowing that to happen to you. I am building the inner life of a person who can hold what heaven is preparing to give, who can carry authority without being corrupted by it, receive favor without being consumed by pride, and walk through open doors without forgetting who opened them. This is the most intentional work I have ever done in a life, and it has been done in the quiet of your hidden season, away from performance, in the privacy of real surrender. Joseph is the pattern. He was given a dream from me, but the dream did not carry him straight into fulfillment. First came the pit, then betrayal, then slavery, then false accusation, then prison. From the outside, everything in Joseph's life looked like contradiction. The promise said one thing, the process said another. The word said elevation, his reality said confinement. And yet none of those dark places meant the dream had failed. They meant heaven was taking the dream seriously. I would not place Joseph in a seat of authority while pride, immaturity, pain, and unhealed impulse remained unchecked. The prison was not proof of rejection. It was proof of preparation. In the same way, what felt like a chain around your life was often my mercy refusing to release you too early. There were doors you begged for that would have damaged you. There were people you pleaded to keep who would have slowed your obedience and weakened your discernment. There were timelines you thought were perfect that would have bound you to a version of yourself too fragile to carry what is coming now. That is why I let certain things fall through your hands. Not because I was cruel, because I was precise, because I loved your future enough to deny your impatience. The waiting was not wasted time. It was where your inner life was being brought into alignment with the magnitude of your calling. Some desires had to be purified. Some illusions had to die. Some forms of dependence had to be broken. I was not just delaying an event. I was transforming a vessel. And that kind of work is holy, deliberate, and profound. When I finally say move, I do not move in fragments. I move with force. When the Jordan River stood before Joshua's people, it did not part while they stood on the bank analyzing it. The waters moved when the feet of the priests stepped in. That is how I often work. I wait until obedience becomes visible. I wait until faith takes form. I wait until you stop demanding proof before movement and choose instead to step forward because I have spoken. This is why the next season will require a different version of you. Not the one who negotiates with fear, not the one who delays every step until all uncertainty is gone, not the one who says yes in prayer but no in action. The suddenly of God does not arrive to entertain you. It arrives to test whether your spirit is willing to move at the speed of my instruction. That is why heaven has been doing so much internal work in you. If this acceleration had come too early, you would have mistaken it for pressure and run from the very answer you once begged for. But now I am preparing you to recognize my movement when it comes. A suddenly may arrive as one unexpected conversation, one opening, one divine connection that appears simple but changes the entire direction of everything. Heaven will not slow down to match your hesitation. I am moving, and I am calling you to move with me, boldly, decisively, without looking back. Declare, I receive this today, if you are ready to move at the speed of heaven. And as you step into this acceleration, I am speaking directly over every area of your life. Not one corner will be left in ruins while another flourishes. I am dealing with the whole structure. I am touching your provision, your health, your calling, your daily bread, and the private places where you have quietly wondered whether anything would ever move again. Some have been grieving over love. Others have been grieving over lack, exhausted bodies, stalled dreams, and purpose that once burned brightly, but now feels buried under the weight of survival. I declare to you, None of those places are beneath my attention. Every closed area has been seen. Every delayed area has been measured. Every weakened area is under my hand. I am the God of the whole house, not merely one room. I am the God who restores comprehensively, thoroughly, and with a precision that leaves no area untouched by my goodness. Think of the widow of Zarephath. She was standing at the edge of depletion, holding almost nothing, preparing for what she believed would be the end. But when my word met her in that place, scarcity did not have the final say. I did not merely give her comfort for one day. I sustained her through an entire season that should have crushed her. That is how I work. I begin by reordering trust. I teach you to stop bowing before what looks empty and start responding to what I have spoken. For many, the delay in provision was not simply about resources. It was about training your spirit not to worship stability more than obedience. For many, the delay in healing was not just about the body. It was about exposing inner exhaustion, accumulated grief, and hidden patterns that could not be carried into the next season untouched. For many, the delay in calling was not because you missed your destiny. It was because I refused to let you build on the wrong foundation, in the wrong environment, with motives that had not yet been fully purified. You wanted the breakthrough, but I wanted the order. You wanted the answer, but I wanted the alignment. You wanted the open door, but I was restoring the inner structure that would keep you from collapsing after you walked through it. I am not withholding to destroy you. I am arranging, correcting, and preparing to release what fits my purpose for your life. I'm also establishing a new standard of discernment in your spirit. There are voices in the world around you that have been competing for the attention of your soul. Voices that speak of despair, limitation, and permanent inadequacy. I am declaring those voices silenced over your life. Not because I am erasing difficulty from your path, but because I am giving you the inner clarity to distinguish my voice from every other sound. My voice is the one that calls you forward, not backward. My voice is the one that speaks of purpose, not pointlessness. My voice is the one that tells you your story is not finished. My voice carries the weight of eternity in every syllable, the warmth of a father in every tone, and the authority of heaven in every decree. Let that voice be the one that governs your steps. Let it be louder in your inner world than every fear, every accusation, every whisper of inadequacy that has tried to write itself over your identity. The voice you most consistently agree with is the voice that will most consistently shape your choices. I am training you to live in agreement with me, to wake up in the morning and let my word be the first frame through which you see your day, to face difficulty and immediately return to what I have decreed, rather than what the circumstance is announcing. That kind of spiritual reflex is what I am building in you now, and it will become one of your greatest weapons in every season that follows. Now I must speak to you about the warfare you have faced, because you need to understand it rightly. The intensity of what has come against you was never random and never small. There is a reason the pressure felt targeted. The fatigue felt unusual. The discouragement felt heavier than ordinary. The battles seemed to rise from every direction at the same time. It is because the enemy does not react most violently to what is empty. Darkness mobilizes when something is being built. Look at Nehemiah. The moment he began rebuilding the wall, opposition intensified with ferocity. The resistance did not prove he was outside my will. It proved he was threatening something the enemy desperately wanted to keep in ruins. The warfare increased because restoration was rising. The attack sharpened because structure was being rebuilt. Some of what you have faced was not merely emotional strain. It was strategic interference, confusion at the wrong time, weariness at the wrong time, offense at the wrong time, temptation at the wrong time, and the deep urge to withdraw right when I was calling you to stay alert. But I am establishing this truth in you now. Pressure is not always failure. Sometimes pressure means you are standing at the edge of a construction that the enemy can already see and is terrified of. Nehemiah did not stop building because the threats grew louder. He built with greater vigilance. One hand worked. One hand stayed ready. That is the posture being formed in you now. I am building discernment where naivete once lived. I am building endurance where you once broke quickly. I am building authority in the very place the enemy tried to produce collapse. State, I believe, if you know the warfare has been confirming your destiny, not canceling it. Now I speak to you about covenant. What I am preparing in the realm of deep connection is not shallow relief. This is about covenant. It is about alignment. It is about who will stand beside you when the weight of your calling becomes fully visible. The delay in this area was not proof that you were unwanted. It was proof that heaven refused to hand you over to what could not carry the assignment on your life. Ruth did not arrive in Boaz's field by random chance. What looked ordinary on the surface was divine arrangement underneath. I was already weaving provision, protection, timing, and covenant together before either of them could see the full picture. That is the pattern over your life. You are not being asked to chase what is real. You are being prepared to recognize what I have ordained. The wrong connection can drain your discernment, confuse your identity, weaken your prayer life, and tie your future to someone who has no capacity to honor where I am taking you. That is why some doors closed so sharply it left you stunned. It was not always punishment. Sometimes it was rescue. Sometimes it was my mercy cutting off what your emotions were willing to tolerate, but your destiny could not survive. I am not writing a rushed story for you. I am guarding a covenant that must be strong enough to carry warfare, purpose, sacrifice, obedience, and glory. And while I have been working on you, I have also been working on them, confronting immaturity, exposing patterns, purifying motives. Do not call it absence when heaven calls it preparation. Do not call it rejection when I call it protection. My chosen one, I call you now to do something tangible that will mark this moment as a point of no return in the Spirit. I am asking you to place a weight of gold upon the altar of this kingdom work, to release a portion of what you hold in your hand as a deliberate and physical act of trust. Not as a transaction, but as a holy decree. A declaration to heaven that your grip on earthly security no longer governs your obedience to me. When you release what is in your hand, you open what is in mine. The widow placed what seemed like her last into the storehouse of my work, and discovered that lack became abundance under my hand. Place your stone of provision upon the altar of this mission right now, and watch as iron gates begin to move. The oil in your lamp will not run dry. The storehouse prepared with your name on it stands ready, and this act of surrender is the key that opens its doors. The depth of your trust will be met by the depth of my response. There are so many areas of your life on the verge of suddenly. A divine suddenly is the collision point between heaven's timing and your obedience. It is the moment when years of restraint, silence, and inward preparation begin to break open into visible motion, all at once, with a swiftness that startles the very person who prayed for it. What could not move for years can begin to shift in the span of a single week. That is not exaggeration. That is how I restore time. I compress what seemed endlessly delayed into moments of divine release. But hear me with seriousness. When the door opens, you cannot stand there paralyzed by old disappointments. When the river parts, you cannot keep speaking the language of the season when it was still closed. When I say now, you cannot answer me with the hesitations of your former season. I am moving, and I am calling you to move with me, boldly, decisively, without looking back. I am establishing new connections that will accelerate your purpose. I am opening conversations in places you have not yet thought to look. I am positioning divine intersections, moments where one exchange, one opportunity, one unexpected encounter will alter the direction of everything. Be watchful, be present, be willing. Because what I am releasing in this season does not always arrive announced and adorned. Sometimes my greatest provisions arrive wrapped in the ordinary. A meeting that seems coincidental, an instruction that seems simple, a door that opens quietly, with no fanfare, yet leads to a territory you have never walked before. I speak now about the restoration of your joy, Because joy is not merely an emotion. For me, it is a weapon, a strength, a living declaration. When my people walk in genuine joy in the middle of circumstances that should produce despair, it is one of the most powerful testimonies in all creation. It says, without a single word, that something holds me which the world cannot understand, that something sustains me which no earthly explanation can account for, that something lives in me which is bigger than my problems, older than my pain, and stronger than any force that has tried to break me. That something is me. And I am restoring your joy, my chosen one, not as a performance, not as a mask over unprocessed grief, but as a deep and genuine river that begins to flow from the innermost place where you and I meet. It will come quietly at first, a morning where the heaviness is lighter than the day before, a moment when something ordinary becomes unexpectedly beautiful, a day when you realize you have gone hours without the familiar weight, and you notice with wonder that the burden has been lifted. That is how my restoration works, not always in a thunderclap, but in a gradual, steady, breathtaking dawn. There is a new language forming in your spirit, not the language of lack, of confusion, of barely holding on. A new language of certainty, of covenant, of the deep and settled knowing that you are held by one who cannot fail. I am rewriting the narrative of your inner world. The old story that said you were too damaged, too late, too ordinary, too overlooked. That narrative is losing its authority over you. A new story is being inscribed, one that tells the true account of who you are and what you carry. You are a vessel chosen before the foundation of the world. You are a carrier of light in a generation that desperately needs it. You are a builder of things that will outlast your lifetime. You are a testimony in progress, not a finished monument, but a living story still being written with the most glorious chapters still ahead. Let that be the story you tell yourself when the old voices rise. Let that be the confession of your mouth and the meditation of your heart, until the evidence around you catches up to the truth that I have already decreed. I want to speak now about the gift of your story, the very narrative that has sometimes felt like a burden to carry. Every experience you have walked through, every valley you have descended into, every moment of confusion, loss, and grief, none of it was wasted material. I am a God who recycles pain into purpose, who takes the broken pieces of what did not work and builds from them something that could not have been constructed any other way. The Apostle Paul wrote from a prison cell, from a life marked by beatings and abandonment, that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. His declaration was absolute because he had discovered what I am now revealing to you. The purpose I carry over a life is strong enough to transform every circumstance, even the most brutal, into an instrument of your deepest growth and your most profound testimony. Your story is not a liability. In my hands, it is your most powerful qualification. The places where you suffered most are often the places where you will minister with the greatest authority. The wounds that left the deepest scars are often the very places where my light will shine the brightest. Not despite the scar, but through it. I am establishing this truth in you now. Your history is not a collection of mistakes to be hidden. It is a testimony being constructed, a witness that will carry others through valleys you have already navigated, because I carried you through them first. There is something I need you to hear about identity, specifically about the false identities that have been layered over your true self through years of experiences and words spoken over you. People in your past assigned names to you that were never mine. They called you inadequate, unstable, too much, not enough, difficult, forgotten, ordinary. But I am the one who named you. I am the one who formed you. I am the one whose assessment of you is the only one that carries ultimate authority. And I say to you now with the voice of the eternal Creator, you are enough. You have always been enough. Not because of what you have produced or how well you have performed, but because of what I placed in you before you ever drew a breath. I am not asking you to feel this truth today. I am asking you to choose to receive it, to hold it, to return to it, every time the old names try to reassert their claim. Because as you consistently choose my truth over the world's assessment, something profound will begin to happen. The false identities will lose their grip. The true you, the one I always saw and always called forward, will begin to emerge with a clarity and a confidence that surprises even you. I am also speaking about the generational dimension of what I am doing in your life. What I am releasing in you is not only for you. It is carrying a momentum that will flow forward into the lives of those who come after you, your children, your spiritual children, the people in your sphere of influence who are watching how you respond to this season of preparation. When you choose faith over fear, when you step through the door, I am opening even when your natural mind says the timing is uncertain. When you refuse to pass down the wounds of your own waiting to the generation behind you, you are doing something spiritually significant for every life connected to yours. The blessings I release over a life that has been faithful under pressure are not contained to that one life. They ripple outward. They create new trajectories. They break cycles that have operated in families and bloodlines for generations. You are not only fighting for yourself in this hour, you are fighting for a legacy. And the breakthrough you are stepping into is a breakthrough that will change the story for those who come after you. That is the weight of this moment. That is why heaven is watching with such expectation. There are things I need to say to you about the faithful small steps that have carried you to this threshold. The quiet acts of obedience that no one witnessed. The prayers you prayed when you did not feel like praying. The worship that rose from your lips even on the days when it cost you something real to offer it. I have seen every one of those moments. Not one prayer was lost. Not one act of faithfulness disappeared into meaninglessness. I have been collecting them like a treasury, building, accumulating, preparing for the day when I would open the storehouse and release what had been storing up. That day is here. This is the season of return. Not a partial return, not a token acknowledgement of your faithfulness, but a full and overflowing return that reflects the weight of everything you poured out in the hidden place. I declare that what you sowed in tears, you will reap in joy. What you planted in obscurity will break forth in visibility. What you whispered in private faith will become a public testimony. And I say to you today, do not despise the day of small beginnings when they come. When the first signs of movement appear, they may not yet carry the full weight of what I have promised. A door may open quietly. A provision may arrive modestly at first. Do not judge these beginnings by their initial size. Judge them by the hand that is behind them. The beginning of what I am releasing in your life is pregnant with everything that follows. What looks small today is the seed of something vast. What looks modest today is the foundation of something enduring. Receive the beginnings with the same faith you have been carrying through the wilderness, and watch how quickly they unfold into the fullness I have always intended. My chosen one, I want to speak now about your calling, the deep thing I placed in you before you were born, the specific assignment that only you can carry. That calling has never been canceled. Failure has not voided it. Seasons of confusion have not erased it. The opinions of people who did not understand it have no authority over it. I am establishing right now in your spirit a renewed sense of your identity. Not an identity built on what you have accomplished, not on what others have said about you. An identity built on what I say about you. You are deeply valued. You are specifically chosen. You are uniquely designed for this precise moment in history. Your voice, your story, your scars, your wisdom, your gift, all of it has been consecrated for such a time as this. You did not arrive late. You were born into exactly the generation that needs what you carry. Do not shrink back now. Do not allow the nearness of your breakthrough to produce a last-minute retreat. When the warfare intensifies at the threshold, it is confirmation that you are at the threshold. Stand firm. Take the step. Walk through the door I am opening for you. The life on the other side looks nothing like the life you have been surviving in. It is a life where my promises are no longer things you believe from a distance. They are realities you are breathing in daily. There were moments this season when you almost let go, when the weight became so heavy that releasing everything felt like the only rational option, when you came to the very edge of your faith and looked into the valley of giving up. I know those moments. I was there in every single one of them. And in each one, something in you held on. Something would not release the thread. That was not merely your own willpower. That was me, holding you from the other side of the thread. That was my faithfulness refusing to let you disappear into despair. You are here because I kept you here. You are still standing because I am the one who sustained you when your own strength was entirely spent. And now that same faithfulness that held you through the darkest nights is carrying you into the brightest dawn you have ever known. The transition is not behind you. It is underway, right now, in this very moment. I am already releasing what has been prepared. I am already moving on your behalf in places you cannot see. I am already speaking your name into rooms you have not yet entered. I am already aligning people, resources, and opportunities with the precision of a master craftsman who is now approaching the final unveiling. Hear these final words and let them settle into every layer of your being. I have loved you with a love that existed before time. A love that knew your name before your parents spoke it. A love that watched every chapter of your story and chose you anyway. Not in spite of your weaknesses, but knowing them fully and calling you precisely because of what I knew I could do in you and through you. That love is not changing today. That love is the immovable foundation on which every promise I have spoken to you is standing. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not overlooked. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not beyond the reach of my restoration. You are mine, and I am yours. And together, we are stepping into the fullness of everything I have prepared. The horizon you have been staring at for so long is not a distant dream anymore. It is the ground beneath your next step. Take it. I am right beside you. I am leading you into a brightness, a fullness, a purposeful and joyful life that is more than you have dared to imagine. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the chapter where everything I promised becomes everything you are living. Walk forward, my chosen one. The old world is behind you. The new world is opening before you. And I declare over your life, with all the authority of heaven, it is finished. The waiting, the wondering, the wandering in the wilderness. And it is beginning. The fullness, the purpose, the life I always intended for you. This is your hour. This is your moment. This is your yes. My chosen one, I want to speak about rest. Not the sleep that comes from exhaustion, but the profound spiritual rest that comes from truly knowing that you are held. In this season, I am inviting you into a deeper kind of rest than you have ever known. Not the rest of passivity, where you stop caring what happens. Not the rest of resignation, where you lower your expectations to avoid further disappointment. But the rest of complete trust. The rest of a child who has placed their hand in their father's hand and knows, without any shadow of doubt, that wherever they are being led is good, safe, and exactly right. That kind of rest is not the absence of activity or effort. It is the absence of anxiety about outcomes. It is the freedom to work hard without the crushing weight of sole responsibility for results that were never fully in your hands to begin with. I hold the outcomes. I hold the timing. I hold the doors and the people and the resources and the open windows of heaven. Your role is faithfulness. Your role is obedience. Your role is showing up with the best of what you have, surrendering the rest into my hands, and then resting, genuinely, deeply, peacefully resting, in the certainty that I am finishing what I started in you. Come into that rest now. Let it settle over you like water over a stone that has been worn smooth by years of friction. Let it ease the tension that has been living in your shoulders, in your chest, in the part of your mind that never fully stopped working through the problem even in your sleep. I am here. I am in control. I am faithful. And you can rest in me. I am not speaking to you from a distance. I am present. I am active. I am intimately involved in every detail of the story I am writing for you. I know the number of hairs on your head. I know the precise temperature of the grief you have carried. I know the exact words that wounded you most deeply. I know the dreams you stopped allowing yourself to dream because the disappointment of their apparent absence became too heavy to keep carrying alongside hope. And I know the moment, the exact, precise, sovereign moment, when all of that changes. I am moving you toward that moment right now, not next year, not in some distant future that is easy to believe in because it is far enough away to feel safe. Now, in this season, in this hour, the movement has already begun in the unseen realm. What your natural eyes have not yet reported is already reality in the spirit. The door is already open. The breakthrough is already decreed. The suddenly is already in motion. And I say to you with absolute conviction, when it breaks into the visible, you will look back on this moment, this precise moment when you were listening, when something in your spirit was resonating with what heaven was speaking. And you will understand that this was the moment it turned. This was the threshold. This was the hour when you chose to believe again, and that choice set everything in motion. My chosen one, I want to speak directly to the weariness in you, because I see it clearly. You have been strong for a long time. You have carried burdens that were not all yours to carry. You have been the one who showed up for others while quietly falling apart inside. You have been the one who kept going when every natural signal said stop. And I am not here to minimize that exhaustion or to tell you to simply push through one more time. I am here to tell you that the era of pushing through alone is ending. The season of striving in your own strength is giving way to something entirely different. A season of moving in mine. Where you have been weary, I am bringing renewal. Where you have been depleted, I am bringing restoration that goes to the deepest levels of your spirit. Where you have been running on empty, I am filling you with a divine supply that does not come from any earthly source. You were not designed for this kind of depletion. You were designed for life abundant, for the kind of flourishing that makes those around you take notice and ask what is different about you. That flourishing is what is coming. I am breathing fresh life into your vision right now. I am reawakening desires that you put to sleep because you could not bear the pain of wanting them anymore. I am restoring your capacity to hope, not a fragile, tentative hope that braces for another disappointment, but a rooted, settled, unshakable hope that is anchored in my character and in the permanence of my word. I am clearing what has grown stale. I am bringing the oxygen of new possibility into spaces where the air had grown thin with weariness. And I am doing it now. I am establishing a new standard of expectation in your spirit. For too long, hope has been a guarded thing in you, something you have approached carefully, like a wound that has not fully healed, afraid to press too hard on the tender place. You have learned to hope quietly, almost secretly, because the volume of past disappointment taught you that hoping loudly only made the silence louder when the answer did not come. But I am telling you now that guardedness has served its purpose, and its purpose is complete. I am not asking you to hope carefully anymore. I am asking you to hope boldly. I am asking you to lift your eyes to the full expanse of what I have prepared, to stop negotiating the promise down to a size that feels safe, to stop limiting your expectation to what seems reasonable by human measure. My provision is not limited by what seems reasonable. My timing is not constrained by what appears possible. And the life I have prepared for you is not a scaled-down version of the dreams I placed in your heart. It is the full, uncompromised, heaven-designed expression of everything I intended when I formed you. Lift your expectation to match my promise. Open your heart to receive the fullness. And walk forward knowing that the one who spoke it is entirely able to perform it. Declare your amen if you choose to walk forward in faith today.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.